Hey guys, it's Woody the Unexceptional Gamer, and this commentary is not about the gameplay, but I'll cover it briefly. We ran into the guys from Treyarch playing together, a bunch of good players actually, and they beat me and my friends the first couple of games. And we got a bunch of excuses. We ran GB classes, they ran tac inserts, or they had six people, we had four. But whatever, excuses are for losers. This is toward the end of the night when we were all running 6 on 6 and same teams and stuff, and it went a little better. But that's not today's topic. Not today's topic at all. Here's the deal. So back in quad, back in February, my wife found out that both of her parents had cancer, and she found like they both got diagnosed with cancer in the same week. So uh, that was hard to deal with and everything, but you don't know how it's going to work out. Some people pull away. I was a little nervous. I know I've said they were both 74 before, but it turns out the accurate thing is that one of them is 74 and one of them is 71, which certainly sounds ancient, probably to my audience. To me, it sounds, heck, they're 1/10 my age. But more seriously, um, they're, when you get cancer and you're in your mid 70s, this is not a good thing. It could go either way. It's a really scary situation. And her father had, I think, bladder cancer, and her mother has colon cancer. And bladder cancer apparently is one that they can usually treat pretty successfully. So even though he's 74, we thought that he would come out okay. Somewhere along the process, like he was in a lot of pain, and his doctor recommended. I don't even know what the process is called, but getting one of those bags that you pee into. You've seen the people with the bags that hang from their belly all the time, and so then he was in that state. And while it's yucky and everything, whatever, we're adults, and someday you'll have a medical condition, probably during your life, that you'd rather not talk about, and that's where he was. So he's he went through chemo from, I'll say, February to July, or maybe February to June, and then yesterday. So then let me take a step back from June until now. The assumption was that he was going to be okay. Like, everyone thought that it was going to work out, because the type of cancer he had, it usually does work out. And but he's been lethargic. He's been exhausted. He hasn't really been moving around like he's supposed to, and he hasn't been eating. And like not to compare it to little sicknesses that I've had, but I remember when I was 15, I got really sick and I stopped eating. And then because I stopped eating, I got even sicker. And then because I got even sicker, I didn't eat. And it just sort of cycled out of control. And I eventually went to the hospital for what was, I guess, some sort of bad flu. And, they put fluids in me and made me feel better. And I was able to eat and pull out of it. I sort of thought maybe, he had something in that same neighborhood that he could go, when he went back to the hospital, they could turn him around, bring back his appetite, which would bring back his strength, which would make things okay. So they brought him to the hospital yesterday, and today, or 2 days ago, and today they got the results. So um, his cancer is not gone. In fact, it spread from his bladder into his abdomen and into his lungs. And he's in the hospital now, but they want to move him to a hospice. Now, most of you, if I think, are probably young enough that you haven't gone through this process anymore. But you're 15. What they do with you is they keep you in a hospital, and they fight tooth and nail, and they do everything they possibly can to make your life the best that it can be. That's what happens when you get sick, pretending you're 15. When you're 74 and things aren't going right, they put you in a hospice. And what they do in a hospice is they manage your pain and try and make your death, what do you say, the best death that it can be. In the hospice is not usually where they heal people, not in situations like this. The hospice is for, you know, like what do you do with guys that aren't healable? What do you do when there's no hope? That's where they go. They go into a hospice, and that's where he is now. So this is like fresh news for us. We don't know, like we don't have any estimates on how long he might last. We don't have any prognosis on what the process might be. Like the dream prognosis is that they like give him an energy pill. He's absolutely fantastic for the next 3 months, and then dies a painless, quick death on a predictable day where we all say goodbye. Right? That's not reality, but that would be the dream prognosis. On the other hand, he might just shrivel away, and that's kind of an interesting thing too. He's always been so healthy the entire time I've known him. He's a big, strong hulk of a man. He was a fireman as a career. As a side business, he owned a weightlifting club, and he had 18-inch biceps. If you don't know what that looks like, it's pretty big. And he was just like this big, strong bodybuilder type guy when I first met him. And then as he aged, he became more of a strong, fat, sort of jolly father-in-law. And I I really like him. I really like him a lot. My two brother-in-laws both called him Jack, and I didn't know what to call him for the longest time. As a matter of fact, and I swear this is true, I spent 10 years calling him nothing. Like, if you want to get someone's attention, you say their name. When you marry someone, you typically like make this choice as to whether you call them Jack or whether you call them mom and dad. And I took my time in making that decision. I spent 10 years just waiting for them to look at me, which is true. And rather than say, "Hey, Jack," or whatever, I would just like motion or wave or something awkward like that. Do that little Forrest Gump wave with your hand right by your chest until they looked my way, and then say whatever it is I had to say. And it was probably about 3 years ago when I started calling him Dad, and it was like, to me, it's, I don't know, I'm honored for him to be one of my dads. Like, it's a serious thing to me. And I remember when I first got married. The I guess 22 or 23-year-old version of me felt like my family was so much better. That, like, we're the greatest ever. I don't know. That was just the conceited thought that was in my head. I can't really define it. And as I grew closer and closer to my wife's family, like over the years, it no longer became this like, my family is so great thing. It was more of an honor to be part of theirs. And I consider, her sisters to be my sisters, and her parents to be my parents. And, it seems arrogant to like pretend as if her pain in losing her father that she's known since the day she was born is equal to mine. I don't mean to say that, but what I do mean to say is that I love my dad, and I love my father-in-law dad, and I don't know how much longer he's gonna live, but I know it's not a whole lot longer. I know that that he's having a hard time, and that he's not eating, and that he's gonna move into a hospice, and I just learned this like 15 minutes ago. So I don't know. Like, I'm not really a deeply religious guy. Sometimes, at moments like this, sometimes that'd be helpful. What do you say? But I hope that this thing, that his life ends as well as lives can end, and that's where we are. So maybe he can be in your thoughts or prayers, depending on how you're built. Maybe his the people he's leaving behind, like his wife, can. So that's today's commentary.